welcome back to the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike, and I got my line mate Matt with me. And today, there isn't any Blackhawks news from this week to this past week. One thing I did notice was Patrick Sharp was calling the Avs and Kraken game last night. Had to shoot Matt a text because I thought maybe I was hearing things. Maybe I was like, is like Sharpie in my head or something? And sure enough, Patrick Sharp's calling game for the Kraken versus Avs, and he's going to be on again Monday night, which would be when people are listening to this. It'll be tonight. So good for him. It's good for him to get out there and work on his craft. Like Matt told me, it's good for him to get some more experience so that when the season comes up next year, he's ready to go. He wasn't too bad this past year, but I will say that the year prior, he was kind of wooden. And this year, I don't know if he was nervous or not, but as the year went on, he seemed to have gotten more relaxed and got better. And he sounded pretty good last night. Matt, what did you think of Sharp's job on that Avs Kraken game last night?
Yeah, like you said, it's crazy what a year does. He really has improved being the color guy, and I've always enjoyed Sharpie. Obviously, the first year he even said it's very difficult. I mean, I'm going to even go to me and you doing this. I mean, our first time doing this, like it's challenging. Like you gotta talk and remember stuff. It's kind of, it's nerve wracking at times. And I can't imagine doing something like in real time. Like he's got to be able to analyze it very fast and put it to words.
Right.
And kind of tell like the audience like a story pretty much, like say, hey, like this is what he did. Like just break down plays and stuff. But
right.
This year he's done a good job. I'm, not too sold on his partner yet, but like I think Pat and Eddie complemented each other very well.
Yeah.
And
hey, old partner.
They just worked. And you know what? A lot of people really just enjoyed it. I mean, at the end, I didn't really enjoy it as much because I thought they just kind of messed around a little too much, but still very entertaining. Their one-liners and all that and everything. But Eddie Olczyk is a goddamn encyclopedia of like all hockey.
He is.
I mean, he can tell you where the guy played, kind of like Pierre Maguire is. Like he knows where this guy went to high school, like when he would take a piss at the high school and stuff like that.
At St. Mary's Shattuck?
St. Mary's, yeah. He would say, oh yeah, the product of this, and like he just knew what he was doing. And hopefully Sharpie can get to that level where he's like, I don't think he's ever going to get to Eddie Olczyk's level just because Eddie Olczyk's had almost every job you can have in hockey. Yeah. He started off as a player. He probably could be an agent. He's so smart. I think he was trying out to be a GM at one point, and he was a head coach, So he's very knowledgeable. But Sharpie is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, man. And he's had a couple 30-goal seasons. He knows what it takes to win. He knows, everything about hockey. So he's just got to kind of get a little bit better on telling the story as it's happening in front of him.
Yeah. It is a little difficult, man, having to prepare for, each game. And I think, Eddie Olczyk preparing for games, day in and day out, as time goes on, that knowledge just kind of sticks in his head. He's like, oh, okay, I've already looked up, McDavid's story. I've already looked up Brandon Tanev's story. I've already looked up Marian Host's story. Like I already know these things, it's kind of like anybody who goes and does a job, the first day that you're there, you're like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. But, after about 3 or 5 years, you're like, man, I know this job like the back of my hand. Do you know what I mean? And I can imagine that after doing all of the research on players and so forth, that they have knowledge that they can grab at one point, but that's just going to take experience and in Sharpie's sense, kind of like you said, telling a story, relating what he's seeing on the ice because he sees something and he completely understands what it is, but then articulating that for the everyday fan, because not every fan who watches a hockey game it will understand, formations and, what players are doing, why the right wing is here and he's supposed to be here, and Sharpie can do that kind of stuff. So the playoffs are in full swing. It's been, actually, I think this has been the best playoff first round in a very long time. Been very, very exciting. Toronto and Tampa Bay are practically, over here doing a deja vu. They are, Toronto's up 2-1. They were up on Tampa Bay 2-1 last year as well. I believe they were up on Montreal 2-1 the series before that. And it's incredible, man. It's incredible to see these guys. They've been seeing each other a lot. Kind of just going at it. And Austin Matthews has been held off the score sheet so far. He's got 4 assists though. But Tampa is just one of those teams where every team is going to be grinding. Every line is going to be grinding. Every guy on that team knows what it takes to win the Stanley Cup. There's a Stanley Cup winning culture there. And to be honest with you, I think that's what Toronto is actually battling. They're battling this winning culture that they have there. And for them, they have somewhat of a losing culture. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, a choking culture.
Yeah.
I think they set the bar a little too high every year. Like they're going for the cup, which you should, but it's still one series at a time.
Right.
You gotta win 4 against a proven Stanley Cup, winning team.
Right.
What I noticed, Ryan O'Reilly is the difference maker, man.
Absolutely.
He has been great in the playoffs. Last night, he tied the game late. Actually, he tied the game with 1 minute left. And then, that just kind of killed all the Tampa momentum. Giving up a goal late like that,
right,
when you're about to win, is just backbreaking. And I don't know if you saw the period before, or actually, yeah, the third period. It got chippy, man. It got dirty.
Yeah.
Braden Point kind of, they wanted a game misconduct on a boarding call. I think it was Morgan Riley. Kind of gave him a little tap. Kind of reminded me of Hossa hitting Dan Hamhuis against the Predators back in 2010. Remember he got that 5-minute major?
Yeah, he did.
It didn't seem that bad. Like, he was just skating so fast, and Hossa's arms were extended. So it's like, oh, he pushed him automatically. That's a 5-minute major. And kind of yesterday, a little bit of the same thing. Braden Point was flying into the boards to get that puck. Morgan Riley kind of bumped him a little bit, and it was a little dangerous, but he didn't end up getting a penalty. He just got pretty much jumped by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And,
it didn't seem that he was doing it with malicious intent.
No, he was trying. It was like a 50-50, man. He was trying to get the puck too, and Point was flying, but I think that started all like the problems for Tampa. I thought Tampa was a better team, but then they, Stamkos dropped the gloves with Austin Matthews.
Man.
Yeah,
Matthews didn't want anything to do with that, dude.
2 snipers going at it. Yeah. I like that.
Matthews is much bigger than he is too.
Yeah, but if it's a good trade-off, if you think about it, like two big-time goal scorers are sitting in the box for 5 minutes.
Can you imagine if Matthews pummeled him? Dude, that would have changed the game for Toronto.
Oh man, yeah. And I think Toronto got the power play out of all that crap too, which is unbelievable. But I will say, I don't like to blame refs on stuff, but Braden Point should have been awarded a goal. I think it was, they took it back. That puck was loose.
Yeah.
And he kind of snuck in, and he tapped it in, and they lost sight of the whistle, which was complete trash because that puck was sitting there loose, and that ended up killing him, I think.
Yeah, it did.
So
they would have won the game straight up for that.
Yeah, Tampa's got to come back flying next game, and do what they do. Vasilevsky is always good when he loses a game. The next game, he's always good. He hasn't been that sharp, man.
No, he lost it yesterday because he lost the last game beforehand, and he lost yesterday.
I thought that Ryan O'Reilly goal to tie the game was a little not like him.
Yeah, it was kind of weak. Not weak, but it was for a guy of his talent. I think those are things that he typically saves.
Exactly. You think he would be buckling down and shutting it down low, and it got through, and you know what? They ended up winning an OT.
Right.
So, Ryan O'Reilly, like I said at the beginning of the statement, he is the game breaker that I think they need to get over.
Yeah.
And that was a great trade by Dubas, and
he did everything he needed to do.
Trigger. Yeah, he's giving this team a chance to win. He's doing everything in his power. These guys just have to start playing. And so far, Ryan O'Reilly is making Dubas look good.
Austin Matthews, 4 assists. Mitch Marner, 2 goals, 6 assists. He's got 8 points. 4 of those are on the power play, believe it or not.
been a shootout, man. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it has. It has. So he's been, Mitch Marner, when you think of teams, you think of Toronto. A lot of people think of Austin Matthews. You think of Florida. You think of Alexander Barkov. Dude, Keith Tkachuk. I mean, not Keith Tkachuk.
Pops.
Matthew Tkachuk and Mitch Marner, man. These are the guys who push point production on their teams.
Willie Nylander too, man. Give him a little credit.
He flies under the radar.
He does. He elevates his game in the playoffs when no one else elevates it.
Right.
So,
right.
Give him a little props.
Definitely.
Too. And the goaltender Samsonov looked okay too. He's been pretty decent.
I would say that Nylander and Mitch Marner are probably might be their most valuable offensive producers on the team.
Oh yeah, for sure. Matthews, for some reason, the last 2 years has just had a difficult time.
Yeah. I think the kind of like, I'm going to get into the Devils and Rangers, but I feel like the playoff spotlight is just so bright there in Toronto, and especially everything that they've been through, that it's hard for him. I think it's too much pressure for him.
Yeah, it could be. There's so many expectations. It's like kind of like here in Chicago with the Bears. I feel like I know. Yeah. I'm not a football guy at all, but that's all the city cares about. I mean, they do like their other teams, but it's always been a Bears city first.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like there's so much pressure on these guys, and they don't really deliver at times, and like the fans and the media just turn on them so freaking fast.
Well, the problem with the Bears is, just to kind of go off for a second, is their ownership, number one, and their management. The ownership hasn't changed, but the management, top to bottom, has changed recently within like the past 18 months. So things are trending in the right direction for that team.
Well, same with the Leafs too.
Yeah,
I mean, they do spend. They spend the money up to the cap, and they're going to pay for it. Couple years, they're going to be where the Blackhawks are now. That cap, it's going to come down to that too.
I wouldn't compare the Leafs to the Bears though. Like the Bears, if you want to put like say talent with, one apples to apples, like Toronto, what the team that they've accumulated is much more talented than the Bears are. But
of course, but I'm just saying with the media here.
Oh yeah, it's bright,
and the fans here they
bright.
Expect Super Bowls, and that's like the Leafs fans. They want Stanley Cups every year, and when it doesn't happen, they're relentless to their players.
Right.
And if Matthews doesn't start scoring like 15 goals every playoff series, they're going to turn on him fast.
He's definitely not getting 15 million.
The dude's a beast. He's got to just find it. He's just got to find it in the playoffs.
So speaking of the spotlight, Devils versus Rangers, Rangers have just absolutely dominated the Devils, game 1 and game 2, and I think that these young guys that are on this Devils team were just not expecting the playoff spotlight. I just think it was just too much for them to kind of get rid of those butterflies so that they can just play. But in game 3, it seemed to be like they were turning it around. It was a much closer game. Devils got a new goalie in net, and they actually pulled that game out. Patrick Kane had a highlight reel goal in game 2, but the first 2 games, it was all Rangers. Devils are trying to make it interesting. That series is 2-1. Matt, Jack Hughes is, in all honesty, I think he is doing what he can to drive this team to win, and I think that he's doing a good job, man. He reminds me a lot of Kane, to be honest with you. He said that Patrick Kane was his favorite player as a kid, and you can really see it in his game, like how he plays. It reminds me a lot of Kane, but he's got a goal. He had a goal in the second game, I believe. Had a game in the third game as well.
Yeah, he's got 2 in this series, 2 goals. But yeah, he can only do it. He needs help.
Right.
A lot of these guys just scored their first goal. I know Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah.
Kudos. Shout out to our boy, the brush line, his boy.
Nice
Dougie
goal.
Hamilton. Yeah, he buried one, and that's a defenseman, man. He scored 20-something goals this year. Very impressive for Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah.
And
that was to give them the win too. That was the game winner.
That was the dagger. And they put a new goaltender in, Schmid.
Okay.
Which is wow. Didn't know too much about him. I thought their goalie was, I think it's Vanacek or something, their other one.
I didn't know anything about him.
Yeah, I don't know too many things about the Devils goaltending, but getting a 2-1 win against the Rangers at home is pretty impressive, and defense kind of shut it down, and defense ended up winning the game for him. Dougie Hamilton buried one, so yeah. Good for the Devils. They're not getting swept. So every team in the playoffs has a win. There's going to be no sweeps. So.
It's been interesting.
Yeah.
I think I'll get to that later. The only kind of blowout going so far. But I think the Devils are going to turn it around, man, and make it interesting there for New York. Vegas, hold on. Avalanche versus Kraken. I was not expecting what I saw in the first game of the Avalanche versus Kraken. Dude, these guys you would think, Matt, that these guys had met in the Western Conference Finals the past 2 years. These guys are just throwing the body every chance that they had. I think that they had, I believe it was the Kraken had 22 hits in their last game before the playoffs, and then they had 22 hits in the first period versus the Avalanche. It was crazy. The Avalanche ended up winning that game, but the Kraken ended up winning that game. The Avalanche have won the last two. I didn't see much of Cale Makar in that first game. He just wasn't very noticeable to me. In the second game, he seemed to be kind of coming around a little bit more alive. But in game 3, Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar, man, they were what you would expect them to be, especially Nathan MacKinnon. He just seemed to be all over the place. He was doing spinoramas, driving the puck, making some good passes. I'm telling you, man, it looks like these guys are just getting warmed up over there.
Yeah, that's scary for the Kraken, because once they get going, see you later.
Yeah.
But Cale Makar was hurt for the last couple week or whatever,
right,
before the season ended, so it probably took him a little time to get back. But good for the Kraken, man, throwing the body around playoff hockey. That's sometimes you wear these really skilled teams out that way, and you'll steal a win, grind out a win.
Right.
That's what Nashville's always done in the past couple of years.
Absolutely.
Just wear the hell out of the team, and they win these close games. So, hey, hopefully it goes 7, man. It's been very entertaining.
I'd like to see it. But I don't. But as of yesterday, I would say Nathan MacKinnon was standing out. Cale Makar was standing out. I would say, Grubauer has been playing well for the Kraken. Who else was Brandon Tanev has been standing out for the Kraken, and Jared McCann. I think that he's been somebody that has kind of just taken the next step in his game, in his career, and he's someone who has been. He's been playing very well, and Alexiak had a big goal yesterday, and I think that he's starting to come alive, and we're going to see how this series transpires. Vegas versus Winnipeg had our first double OT. As a matter of fact, yesterday on Saturday, 3 games went to overtime out of the 4 games. Golden Knights, they topped the Jets, double overtime. They take the lead in the first round. Knights lead the series 2-1. To be honest with you, I was expecting Vegas to kind of
sweep.
Yeah, and that's not the case. What did you expect from this series?
You know what? I think I picked the Jets to win, to be an upset team, but just because of Connor Hellebuck, he's just a fantastic goalie. I think he deserves the Vezina this year. The thing that is going to hurt the Jets, though, now, Josh Morrissey, their top defenseman, who's probably going to be a Norris candidate, he's done for the series with an injury, so that's going to really hurt the Jets. But you know what? You don't hear too many Kyle Connor stuff. Kyle Connor scoring. They need him to start scoring some goals. But hey, Vegas looked good, man. I ended up putting that on when I got home from my kid's baseball game. And it was kind of a fluky play, went off of a defenseman's skate right to a guy wide open and buried it past Hellebuck. And you know what? Another thing that we didn't really talk about, you know what? I forget his name, but the poor dude took a goalie skate to the face. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yeah.
75 stitches.
Right.
And they put a cage on him, and he finished the game.
What a
that
warrior.
Just shows you the playoff mentality, actually just hockey mentality, just a warrior, man.
Yeah.
And he was positive and just joking around at the post game, and It's just awesome, man. It's playoffs. It's guys. They're gonna make a commercial about it one day.
Canes versus Islanders. The Canes are up on that one 3-1. I see the Canes finishing this game out, man. On the Canes Islanders, I think that the Islanders have done a great job of coming back from having a really bad season, but I just don't think that they have enough to make a deeper push into the playoffs.
Yeah, like their second round curse, maybe. They can't, they can never get over it. Yeah, man, I've been really watching this series, especially I think it was today actually. Brent Burns, man, I think he is their Ryan O'Reilly trade. Obviously they made it a lot earlier before the season started. He's got 5 assists this series, man. He's just been very good. And you know what? Antti Ranta's been playing. And I feel like around this time, Freddie Anderson is always hurt.
Yes, he is.
I think it's time to give Antti Ranta the keys, man.
Yeah.
Move that contract. You can bring in another good player.
Right.
So I'm not sure what they're doing with this guy. Playoff time every year. He's hurt.
Every year.
So obviously they're working him too hard, but Antti Ranta is known for getting hurt too when he's overplayed. Must be like a Swede thing.
He's also a proven playoff performer, though.
He is. He's a good player, and the Rod Brendamore's got these guys rolling right now, man. Everybody's scoring, and I do think there was a cheap shot involved, and Teravainen's out.
Yeah.
So that's a good key player.
I think he's got a broken hand or something.
Yeah. Hopefully the next man up, takes the lead, but I was impressed with the Islanders' win that they did have. They ended up, I think they got the record, man. They scored 4 goals in 2 minutes and 18 seconds or something.
Mm-hmm.
The fastest. And if you look at the names who scored, they're all grinders. Matt Martin. Lee is their captain. He's a good player. And then you got Kyle Palmieri, who's kind of jumped around the last couple of years, and I think they're the Clutterbucks of the team and all those guys. They just grinded it out and got a win. But like you said, I think it's gonna for sure probably end the next game. Carolina will probably be the first team to move on to the next round.
Before we move any further, I got to let everybody know that the action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right. Make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action for hockey, baseball, basketball, golf, MMA, and more. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Now, this week, I would say watch any hockey game and see see what you can win. Keep an eye on the Kraken, maybe pulling an upset in the with the Avalanche series, because I think that they're playing them really, really tight. But the Avs could turn it on, and who knows what happens. So this is what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Make your first deposit and get risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Now, Wild versus Dallas. Did you see the Dumba hit?
I did not, but poor Pavelski is always getting killed in the playoffs. I did see a meme or whatever you call it, whatever the kids are calling it now. This poor guy's laying on the ice all the time with blood next to him.
Yeah, I saw that too. To be honest with you, I didn't see any shoulder to head contact. Dumbo kind of just came out of nowhere, man, and just it's turned in from a hip check to a, and then Dumbo went flying into the boards after the hit as well, because he was going backwards at the time. So he hit him. Pavelski went down. Then he went flying into the boards. And then I'll give you one guess on who came in to try to sort out the ruckus. Max Domi just started throwing haymakers at
I love him.
At players, man, and you know what? He's another guy, man, made for the playoffs. Somebody that
there's a lot of guys, a lot of grinders in that series. You got Ryan Reeves, you got Ryan Hartman, former Blackhawk, Max Domi, former Blackhawk. A lot of tough dudes on that series.
Yeah. So it turns out, man, I think that the hit was clean. Dumba has no issues of being the villain of the series, but one thing I was not expecting was the Wild pretty much dominating Dallas, man, because Dallas had such a great year, and they're being dominated right now by the Wild.
Yeah, I know. Currently, as we speak, it is 1-0 Dallas in Game 4, and Minnesota's obviously leading the series 2-1. So this would be a big game for Dallas if they can get a win, tie it up, and go back home. Yeah, man, I'm surprised too because Jason Robertson had a great season. Jake Ottinger is a great goalie. Minnesota's got that experience though, man. You got Fleury in net. Anything could happen. Marc-Andre Fleury's a gamer. Yeah, but I'm really surprised. I thought Dallas kind of would have. I thought it would honestly be like a 3-0, maybe the other way around. Dallas would be leading. I didn't see Minnesota, gutting these out and getting 2 wins on these guys already.
Yeah. I mean, and it hasn't been like a Dallas is close. They got 1 win, but the Wild have been pretty dominant, pretty much throughout the games.
Yeah, it looks like Tyler Seguin is, I think he's got 2 goals this playoff series. Good to see him going. He's getting up there, man. Him and Jamie Benn, it's like almost kind of like their last chance, too.
Yeah.
So I would like to see Dallas have a good run, but if you can barely handle the Wild, you're going to have a tough time in the next rounds. That's for sure.
I'm going to look up Sagan's contract really quick because I want to see how many years he's got left there in Dallas. He's got, let me go to Cap Friendly.
Yeah, I can't have many
26, 27 season. He's got that's when his contract ends.
Wow. So, that's actually a long time. How old is
he? He's 31.
Wow, he just seems so much older, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's like a Kaner contract. He came in.
He started early in his career.
He did.
19, I want to say.
Yeah, he was really young. Let me look up Jamie Benz really quick.
Do you think Boston gave up on him too soon?
Yeah, they didn't want to have to deal. They thought that he was going to be, in the tabloids a lot, and that kind of stuff. And that didn't end up being the case. I mean, he was young and he was having fun, and that's a lot of. At the time, it seemed like there was a lot of young guys getting into trouble. In Philadelphia, you had, Carter and Richards. They had that thing going on in Philadelphia where they had to get traded because they're having too much fun out there. Kaner was getting in trouble, and they thought that Seguin was going to be, causing issues. And that wasn't necessarily the case. And Seguin's had a pretty good career, man. He's got a $9.5 million cap. I'm looking at Jimmy Benn. Jimmy Benn got a $9.5 million cap hit.
They got to be close.
Seguin's he's got a $9.8 million cap hit.
Yeah.
Signing bonus is 8.5. Yeah. Wow, he's getting paid.
I think Boston gave up on him too soon. Obviously, it's working out for Boston because they've been, dominant.
Right.
Since he's been gone. I mean, they've been in the final a couple times, and, they're the best team this year in history in the season. So, I don't know, man. It would be pretty interesting to see him and like a Pasternak playing together. I guarantee you Sagan's probably thinking like, man, if I stay in there playing with Paston, Marchand, and you got Bergeron behind me or whatever, or vice versa, they would still be a good team.
Do you think they would have been able to afford him?
I think they'd make it work. I think they'd have to. Obviously, somebody else wouldn't be around, but
right, maybe Marchand.
Like, I think he is just. When I think of the Bruins, I think of him, man. Him and Bergeron right now. So that'd be weird to see them on another team.
Yeah, it would.
It's like watching Kaner, a Ranger.
It's terrible, man. It's terrible. Florida versus Boston. Let's move on to Boston. Tyler Bertuzzi was made for the playoffs. He's got 2 goals, but he's mixing it up, man. He's out there, getting, drawing penalties. He's been in the box a couple times, and he's putting it out there. What do you think of Tyler Bertuzzi's play so far?
I've always been a fan of him, man. Ever since I started watching. Honestly, when the Wings and during the COVID season, we played Red Wings a little bit more because they were like in our division. Dude, I loved watching him, and he finally is getting a shot to play in the playoffs, which is something he's never experienced, I don't think.
Right.
He's always been, he was on the new chapter of the new Red Wings, all the big dogs were retiring and all whatnot. And so he scored a goal today, big goal. He's getting some like grinder goals. He's tipping them in. He's getting rebounds and just great trade for Boston. They brought in a guy that is gritty and, can complement their snipers. So a great move for the GM. I think Sweeney, his name is. It was excellent trade. It's paying off for them. They're getting wins. They're up 3-1. And I think they're going to close it out pretty soon too, because Florida is just, I don't know what's going on with him, but Matthew Tkachuk's showing up. The guy needs help. So that Barkov's got to get going. Verhaeghe's got to get going. I don't know what the hell's going on in net. I know that Lions kid was in at first, and he played well. He got the win, but then they go with Bob the next game, and Bob's just not the same Bobrovsky from, the Jackets. So I think they're on the edge here, man. So they better get going if they want to get a win.
Is Spencer Knight still in the league
assistance
protocol?
I believe so.
Wow.
I think that's bad time. I'm us. We've been always Spencer Knight fans. I know I'm big on him, and I hope he can get it together because he's a very talented goalie. And with this goaltending controversy going on, let's get Davidson going here. Let's get a call to Florida and get Spencer Knight up here because the goaltending depth up here isn't that great.
We'll let you play.
I would love Spencer Knight on this team, man. Dale Talon with another great trade or another great draft pick for him. The guy just knows what he's freaking doing, man.
Yeah, 100%. Taylor Hall, man. I think that Taylor Hall is kind of like William Nylander. He's a very talented star player that can, for some reason, fly under the radar, even though that he's a former MVP. Fly under the radar and contribute and score goals for Florida. Do you think that he is? I mean, for Boston. Do you think that he is a guy that, no matter who Boston plays, could be that kind of like that game breaker, kind of like what O'Reilly is for Toronto? Yep. Do you think that Taylor Hall can be that for Boston?
For sure, man. He looked fantastic today.
Yeah,
he had a unbelievable move. It was like he tipped the puck over the defenseman. It was like a 1-on-1, and he made like a nice play. It flipped over him. Just absolutely just destroyed Bobrovsky. This jockstrap is up in the freaking rafters. Great move. And they were showing, the TNT panel were showing plays he was making, Taylor Hall. He was, he was making very smart plays. He was getting guys to chase him, and he was hitting an open man and just opening up scoring lanes and everything. He looks really healthy, man. He looks like he's good to go. And this is a top-line guy, man, and he's not getting top-line minutes.
Right.
It's very scary for the other team. It's like, shoot, we got to get on Pasta. We got to get on Marchand. They're too much for teams, and having Taylor Hall starting to light it up, that is scary, man. Scary for opposing teams. So, yeah, he absolutely is a game breaker like a Ryan O'Reilly for the Bruins.
You got Foligno down there also who can
kill you.
He could put a goal in here and there that could turn the game.
Good leadership. He's been a captain a couple teams, and another good move for the Bruins. I think they got him really cheap too. He'll defend his teammates. He'll push his teammates, and that's why Boston's so good, man. They got every kind of player you need to be a successful team.
Yeah,
with two solid goaltenders.
Right, and Matthew Tkachuk, man, he's one guy. Kind of like the next series we're going to talk about, Kings versus Oilers with McDavid. Tkachuk is one guy, or you could even make the comparison to Draisaitl. Because he's contributing. He's one guy. So with Tkachuk, man, being one guy, who else do they have? Okay, yeah, sure, you got Barkov, but Barkov isn't really known to light the lamp. What other goal scorers do they have in Florida that can put up some production to try to help beat this Boston team?
Well, you got Connor Verhaeghe. He had a good season this year. It's just not they're playing against a powerhouse, man.
Right.
And they were sneaking in this playoffs. They shouldn't be here. But they are, and they're making the best of it. But they're just running into an absolute powerhouse, and the goaltending hasn't been good for the Panthers. And against the best team in the history of hockey, you got to be better. So yeah, like you said, Tkachuk had a beautiful goal, man. He's on the goal line. No other way to put this puck in net unless he puts a stick between his legs to bury it, and he did, which is unbelievable skill it took. And he can't do it alone, man. He's gonna need guys. You're gonna need your fourth line guys to start chipping in. Paul Maurice, he's been around a little bit. I'm not sure what the Panthers were thinking bringing this guy in. They could have brought anybody in. I think they would have been better. Yeah.
Should have just left it with Brunette, man.
Brunette was fine. Yeah, he kind of had the same system as Q, and then Maurice comes in and does his own system. And how do you think Tkachuk feels, man?
Yeah,
he signed long term to play there, and they're a good team. He carried that team, no doubt about it. But this guy's gonna need some help, in these playoff series, because the goaltending's not there, and obviously the goal scoring's not there. Barkov's not as scary as he, sounds like he was last year in the season. He had an unbelievable season last year, and he just quiet, and he's quiet this year too. So they got to get it going.
Maybe Davidson trades for Tkachuk in about 3 or 4 years,
and a signing of Austin Matthews
when we're competing.
Who knows, man? I think he likes the Florida lifestyle.
I'm sure he does.
Just don't think he cares about winning the cup, because I don't think I would have signed with Florida.
I don't think he does either, man.
Yeah.
So Kings versus Oilers. The Kings, man, this is essentially a tale of a team versus two players, essentially. Draisaitl has been playing very well. Nurse is eating up a lot of minutes, but the Kings are able to score goals when they need them. And yeah, they lost one game, but they're up in this series 2-1. Philippe Danault has been all over McDavid, man. And, McDavid has had some minutes where, he's had some plays where, he makes a difference, but he's not getting his way right now. Do you think that Danault can essentially pull out the hardest job on earth and shut down McDavid for an entire series?
He could, but he's got to keep it up. It's weird looking at the point leaders. Draisaitl's at the top, and not seeing McDavid at the top. But Draisaitl's got, I think he's got 10 points this playoff series. Oh, I'm sorry, no, he's got 6 points. He's got 3 goals, 3 assists. Yeah, he's gonna have to step up too, even though those numbers are very impressive. But these two got to score like 4 or 5 a game, combined. Because the Kings are very underrated, I think, man.
They are.
They are. Adrian Kempe, he leads the team with 8 points, and they brought in some key guys. Victor Arvidsson they got from Nashville. Yeah, they got obviously they got Philippe Danault last year, and Kopitar is still a good player. Kings they're going to be a scary team, man. And they moved on from Quick, which was kind of crazy. Jumping over to the LA series again. I'd like to see Quick get in there at least a game if they're struggling.
Oh yeah,
I think if he gets his net,
I'm relying on it. I'm hoping for it.
He'll keep it. Yeah. But going back to McDavid, McDavid, lots of pressure for him too, man. I think he's got the same kind of mentality that Nathan McKinnon had last year. Like he's just, I gotta win. I'm sick of losing. I haven't done anything. I'm winning these individual awards every year, but I want the big cup. I want the main trophy.
Right.
So, hey, he's still my pick, man. I still have the Oilers making an upset and making it to the West, maybe even the Stanley Cup final.
Wow. I don't know, man.
I got to stick with them. I can't quit on them now. Okay. I can't be a bandwagon and jump over to...
I hate the Kings, man, but I will tell you this, dude.
I respect them.
I respect them too. Yeah. I think that if anything, man, they can pull this together. And And like you said, man, you have Boston. They play as a complete team, which makes them very difficult to play against. The Avs, they play as a complete team. The Kings are playing as a complete team. You know, everybody has a role. The Oilers, it's like offense, and more offense. You know, I haven't seen really anything from Evander Kane. Hurricanes, they're another one, a complete team. You know, straight up and down, and complete teams, man. These guys they're just horrible. They're a nightmare to play against, and I just don't see the Oilers able to overcome that.
Yeah, I wonder how our buddy, how many minutes our buddy Drew Doughty's been playing.
I gotta look into that.
I mean, he's still, you know, a force. I think he's only got 1 assist, but he's a very good defenseman. I mean, that Quentin Byfield guy has been playing good. Young kid. Their young guys are stepping up early. And, you know, they made that trade with Columbus to bring in Korpisalo. And he's played the games, and I'm surprised because that Cal Peterson was, you know, the guy kind of moving quick out. And then this kid Korpisalo comes in. He's 2-1 against a very high-powered offense. So it's impressive, man.
So I did notice Doughty playing, and I noticed him. I was like, man, this guy is he's still out there, man. You know, he's still playing top line minutes, but I didn't know that he's playing. Get this. His last 3 games against Edmonton, 27-20, 27-23, and 28-11. So
that's a lot. How old is he? He's got to be
33.
33, yeah, that's an old man for hockey, and he's been in the fine, playing a lot of playoff series, just like the Hawks, man. So he's probably got like a 45-year-old body right now.
Yeah,
so
he had 52 points this season.
It's very impressive, man. Very impressive.
He's going to play. He's almost played 1,100 games, so he's, you know, this guy's been pretty healthy his career. For the most part, he's been healthy. I think last season he had some injuries, but for the most part, he's played a lot of games.
I miss the Flames and Kings rivalry because of Matthew Tkachuk.
Oh,
I'd like to see Doughty and Tkachuk just go at it. Yeah. It's never going to happen again, though.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt. Who do you, by this time, we might be in the second round, will we?
Yeah, we probably will be. I think a couple teams are going to be moving on. I'd say the Hurricanes are going to get some rest with another win for them. Don't give anybody life. If you're the Hawks know this. If you're on the verge of knocking a team out, you take advantage of it and you get that rest, and that's what most teams are going to try to do. But it's hard to win closing games, so
we'll see.
Yep, we'll see. I think the Hurricanes are going to be the first ones to do it, though.
Yeah. All right, everybody. That's all that we got for you for tonight. We're going to keep you guys updated via Twitter. We're usually commenting on there, you know, keeping an eye on these games. Maybe even we've been posting some highlights too. So if you want, check us out on Twitter during the week. Do us a favor. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, and we'll see you on the next one. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.